Hello everyone, hello. Well, I'm afraid this is potentially going to be a really disappointing live stream tonight and that it may be really short. So I apologise in advance. I've had actually quite a few technical difficulties even getting this far, and I don't think I'm going to be able to show you what I need to show you. So I'm very disappointed and a little upset by that actually, and I've spent the last 30 minutes fighting with technology and I'm still late, so that always makes me very, very sad to be late. I'm unable to live stream in the way that's most effective for showing you what's going on in the project, so I'm not sure what we're going to do tonight. Oh, June, I would blame it on Cake, but it's actually Mark Zuckerberg's fault and it's just Facebook making things more difficult and very frustrating, to be sure. So, and of course, as ever, making it really difficult for me to keep up with your comments. I am here, but I'm actually really, really distressed. It's that sort of sapped all of my focus and also has disrupted all of my plans for this evening in terms of what we were going to be working on. So I really apologise. But Cake is here. He would definitely like his treats. So it is wonderful to see you as well, Patricia and Charity. I'm so happy to see all of you. I'm really sad I'm going to be a bit disappointing tonight, and I'm not going to be working on the sew along as I had intended. So my apologies. I'm not going to keep you very long because this isn't what anyone was signing up for tonight, and it is not going remotely according to plan. So there's that. Alas and alack. So let me see if I can at least keep up with your comments. Hello, Fairy Godmother. Thank you, Selena. Thank you, Lady June Squirrel. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed last night's late night live, which went swimmingly and very adds to the frustration today, as I had sort of previewed all of the technology and given it a dry run last night in preparation for today, and so to have everything refuse to work today is and I'm actually, I suppose you'd say I'm actually quite angry. So I'm very short-tempered with the technology. So yes, let me go and oh, hello Ian, it's good to see you virtually. I hope that things are going well. I know you've had some very exciting adventures. So one moment, please be patient. Perhaps a little tea will have me feeling better. And also I'll just fetch my other device, as we will not have a second camera tonight. And maybe we shan't be having second camera ever again. I don't know. I don't know what the hang up is, but I will say that going live did not go according to plan. We'll leave it at that. And so that was very disappointing for me, and I feel like I've let you down. So I hope you will forgive me for letting you all down on the sew along tonight. I'm going to try not to cry about it. I really despise not meeting my commitments, so and I simply cannot I cannot resolve the problem. I tried. So at the end of the day, it's very important to know that I'm actually not very technically adept. Oh, thank you, Anne. Thank you. I'm just really feeling so deeply chagrined and frustrated. So, thank you, Charity. Thank you. Yeah, no, tonight's a big new step. Well, it was going to be. It isn't, but we're going to be going on to the facings and the faux belt and the faux waist sort of pieces of the sew along, and I think maybe what's going to happen from now going forwards, sadly, is that I shall not be doing the sew alongs as live stream videos anymore. They may have to be strictly as Zoom videos, and I hate that because it does provide slightly less accessibility, and I really always like the teaching elements to be more available. Thank you. I'm distressed and flustered at the same time. So perhaps possibly too much fighting with the technology. So but yeah, no, next up in the caftan is the facings for the faux waist, which is what really gives it its beautiful shape and its beautiful visual appeal, I think, on this particular pattern. So I'm excited to do that part, and I do it slightly differently than she does in her pattern instructions, and so I'm very keen to show you how I handle that bit. But yes, we will not be doing it tonight because I really needed that second camera. There's a lot of bouncing back and forth with the sewing machine and the ironing board, and showing you what's happening on the ironing board with this bit. So alas, but I have tea, and perhaps in a moment the tea will see me feeling a little bit less rattled, a little less distressed. Thank you all for being very, very patient. Of course, I have my delightful Saint Freddie Mercury mug. He's become my sort of Tuesday mug. I love him for Tuesday sewing. Tuesday's also turned into Thai food Tuesday, as I tend to bring out the Thai food for the sew along. It's very strong tea, so I love that. Yes. So, and the kitties are here. They're actually both in the places I set up for the extra camera in between my using it. It's like they know, I think. So, yes. Oh my goodness, this is also going to potentially have a really deleterious effect on book club. Goodness. Not to worry, I'll find a solution, but I am it's not great. Oh, Anne, you're very kind. Yeah, well, I'd much rather be nice to you than nice to myself. So, anyway, right, so I don't have anything else prepared. I was going to sew with you. I did finish the hand stitching, so I'll show you that. I finished all the hand finishing on my caftan, so that is all in place, and you can see it, you know, it's fairly invisible where I stitched it. If you get really close, you can see some of those prick stitches. Sort of depends on how distracted I was when I was stitching and how many threads I picked up. And then for those of you who joined me last night for the sort of informal late night sewing, I demonstrated how to sew a facing in by machine. This is the Caftan for Temperance. So, and I think from your distance those stitches are minimally visible, but you can see if I hold it up to the camera. So we got that done. No, Kate, I could set Facebook on fire, I suppose. I am not going to try and drag my equipment back and forth across the workshop, which is what is required to reset up every time I go to the ironing board, and then to set up again every time I go to the sewing machine. And so the new setup is to have 2 cameras. It also puts my equipment at less danger of getting broken, which is what happened before. So I'm really trying to avoid that, and it's a little bit less stressful for me. So it's not about the cats being in those positions, although that's an added bonus for everyone. It's about the fact that I was unable to live stream from Zoom to Facebook any longer, or at least today. So that's not fun, and it's made me very upset. So there you go. Thank you, Fairy Godmother, on the compliment. I do like hand stitching. I do find it generally very relaxing. And oh good, Selena caught up on her facings for the bodice fronts. So yeah, now you'll need to sort of take a gander. Next we're going on to the belts. There will be some interfacing. I do tend to use more sewn in interfacings for most of my garments. I really like to use muslin as an interfacing, actually, or depending on the garment, I will use cotton organdy rather, or silk organza. It depends on the hands. But I like the organdy and organza because they're so light and they're so strong that it doesn't add much bulk to the garment. But this is a very casual garment to use such expensive interfacings, and you don't need very much, so a fusible interfacing will work. I prefer woven fusibles. They, I think, have a nicer hand to them, but you do want a little bit of extra body there at the waistband. So especially if you have, let's say, a sort of slinky or stretchy fabric, or something that is sort of woody that moves around on you, you'll want to give it some stability. Oh, that's a great question. Good, we're back on firm footing. Technology is not firm footing, so it puts me off a bit, puts me off my stride when it goes so wrong. So I like to get my silk organza, Selena, actually through Dharma Trading. They sell white silk organza, and I think they have black as well. So you can dye it any colour you wish with dyes that work for silk. I normally just leave mine white. I don't need it to colour match, as I'm using it as a interfacing. But it is a really incredible fabric. So if you've never worked with silk organza, it is 10 million times nicer than the polyester or the nylon or the synthetic organzas, which fray horribly and are also have this quality of slickness. They go everywhere. They're not good stabilizing fabric. Silk organza does not fray wildly like that. It doesn't run, it doesn't snag. It is a bit like corralling a cloud. It's so soft and light, and breath, just a strong breath will move it across the table. But once you have it pinned in place and ready to go, it's very stable fabric. And so I've used it in a number of my recent builds, actually, where I wanted some stability in the ruffles, for instance. So on the beautiful gold, blue and slightly red scarab sunrise, all of those pleats, the pleats for days, all of the ruffles and the ruching, all of that is backed in silk organza, and really gives a nice body to the pleats and everything without making them really bulky. So right, Selena, they only have the one weight that I've seen at Dharma. It is a bit hard to find reasonably priced silk organza, so once I found it there, I sort of stuck with it. For the cotton organdy, I found some at Vogue Fabrics, which is not related to Vogue magazine, just has a name in common, but they're not owned by the same company. They're not owned by the Vogue pattern company. They're their own independent small fabric store in the Midwest, I think in Ohio, and they will carry cotton organdy, which is it's a dream fabric. I love organdy deeply. It's much more crisp than organza, so it's not good if you want a really soft drape, although you can wash it and that will take out some of the crispness. But if you want to do a really nice petticoat or a really light bustle cage covered in ruffles that have a lot of body, just make the whole thing out of cotton organdy. Now the challenge with the cotton organdy at Vogue is that they do run out periodically, and so there can be a bit of a weight on your organdy, but I have been really happy, and nowadays I just order a lot when I order from them. Now there might be other places to get silk organza. I would definitely check places like Renaissance Fabrics. I would look at Moods. I would definitely check out Britex. But the price is really good at Dharma. So yeah, I appreciate it very much. So that's my little my sewing wisdom, since we're not going to get any actual sewing done today. If you're wondering how to prep your fabrics for next time, your little beltings, do make sure everything's cut out, and if you feel up for doing the interfacing bits, I would do that in advance. Otherwise I'll probably do the whole lot, the interfacing and the stitching. You're so welcome, Selena. Fabric is always the fun part. I think my favourite, I have a sort of, my favourite bits. I love the part where I'm acquiring the fabric for the project. I love looking through all of the swatches and thinking of what fabric is going to really bring my vision to life. I really thank you, Charity. I was like, fabric, y'all, is fun. I'm not entirely sure what she means, but maybe it's a shop. Oh, Deborah, well, it's been just a horrible night on the live stream. So I'm not surprised you didn't get a notification, because I have had a really wretched time with it. So I'm just happy you found us. There's no sewing tonight because I cannot demonstrate for you what I had planned because the technology is not cooperating. So great. So yes, Facebook is being really, really evil. So yeah, no, last year, and I know Selena was there, Costume College did a really nice thing, and they gave all of us notebooks for keeping swatches of different kinds of fabric. And am I okay? Well, given value of okay. So those notebooks are really lovely because it's a good start to making your swatch kit, and keeping swatches of different kinds of fabric as you sew more and more is something that's probably a really good thing to do. I'm somewhat terrible at this, although I do collect certain kinds of swatches, and I keep them all in a drawer together with their little cards, but I do need to get them all into the notebook. Yeah, no, Deborah, you had that correct. Oh yeah, no, and I've Gish behind me, so I'll be happy to tell you about that. Absolutely, Anne. So yes, Gish, greatest international scavenger hunts, and it used to be greatest internet scavenger hunt the world has ever seen, or something like that. So they changed the name, they shortened it a few years ago. It's thank you, Grand Arbiter. At least I look good tonight, because technology has denied me all joy. So so Gish is a wonderful activity. Normally it only happens once a year. It's a week, 7 very intense days of art making. But this year was a bit different due to the pandemic. They had some very short one-day activities before the normal week-long activity that were all all things you could do at home on your own. Gish is a fundraiser as well as being a sort of art activity, and so you pay a small fee. All of your dollars go to administrative costs and the fundraiser, du jour or du year actually. So this year we raised, I don't know, something like $300,000, maybe it was a bit more than that, for meals for children who were affected by COVID-19. So that was really good. We also raised something like $200,000 for the ACLU Legal Defence Fund and some other charities that's sorts of side projects. So we raised a lot of funds, and we made a lot of art, both physical art projects. So you may have seen the pictures of, for instance, the wedding dress made out of recyclables, plastic recyclables. So there's often a combination of whimsical elements mixed in with sorts of awareness of environmentalism and kindness and doing good works in the community. So there usually are some community driven projects as well, although this year they were sort of they had to change a lot of that due to the nature of people needing to stay home and social distance and maintain quarantine. Um, Thank you, Charity. I still have the plastic dress, but it will shortly have to come off the dress form and go in the recycling bin. So, but it's still living there for now. Um, Deborah asked if this is a new lippy. No, I just haven't worn this one in a while, and I felt like a sort of bolder colour tonight. So this is a colour called Tick Tick Boom by Carity. That is a fan you hear. I wish it were the ocean. That's a fan. It's my little oscillating fan that attempts to move the air around in here in the workshop. Currently, Cake is stretched out on the ironing board so that he can get as much of the fan as possible. Hello, Weldon. Welcome to tonight's very strange live stream. So yes, that is Gish in a nutshell. The other thing about Gish is you're normally on teams of 12 to 15 people. You have the option of being on a team that's in it to win it, or a team that's just for fun. In it to win it teams do tend to be a bit more driven to do more activities. There are usually end up being somewhere around 200 to 250 different items on the list, which you divide and conquer with a good team anyway. So I was fortunate to join a team that was already organised, and so I did not have to manage the team. I could just kick along with them, which was really fun. I have organised a team in the past, but I have to admit it was really delightful to be lazy and let someone else organise. If you'd like to do Gish, there's plenty of time now. Before next year, I will always answer all of your questions, and if you'd like to start your own team, I have a great deal of advice that I'm happy to share. So hopefully you can still see me, as Facebook is being really cheeky. It was such a good time with technology tonight, and by a good time I mean exactly the opposite. So right, no, today did feel a bit humid here. I didn't really go out of doors, as I so rarely do these days, but I could feel a little bit of the stickiness in the air. The air quality is terrible in Tucson. It looks very overcast all the time right now. well, it's lazy not being the organiser, for me anyway. It felt like I was taking it very easy. So I think I did 6 individual projects this year for Gish. Might have done 7, but I'm pretty sure I did 6. And then I did about 10 group projects. So everyone did at least that much. Some people did more. My team that I was a part of did, I think, somewhere around 180-ish items off of that list of 250. So we felt pretty good about ourselves, and had a really good time. But it's important to know that you should pencil out some time during that week of Gish just to work like fiends. So plan at least one day where you do nothing else. Although I think I had 2 days like that where I did nothing else besides Gish, and then everything else I sort of worked in between other projects. Yeah, no, it's wild and wonderful, and it's very I find it very inspiring. And this year it was also very energizing and invigorating. I think there's a thing that happens or is happening for many people who do art and create right now, that there are lots of hard walls we hit, and so it was nice to have this week where I was making really random art, sorts of cleared out the cobwebs, as it were, and also forced me to look at things in a different perspective, which helped restart the sort of mental image, mental engine for the kind of creative spark. Oh my goodness, Charity, that is super productive. Boxes are the worst. Moving is so rough, and then having to break down all the mess of moving. I think I still have boxes here in the bird sanctuary that need to be unpacked. Still. So, and I hope that answered at least some of your questions. You have a year to put together your team. I really would like to encourage people who are doing tea scouting, or part of the temporal entourage, which you all are, to consider putting together your own team. There are enough of us that I could not do teams to include everyone, because you only have 15 slots, but you also have 15 slots, and you know all of these wonderful people in the temporal entourage community, and so you probably have some ready built teams and you just don't know it. You're not really competing with other teams precisely. There is some judging at the end. There is a prize. Typically the in it to win it teams are sort of going for the prize of potentially getting to take a few days trip to some wonderful exotic location with Misha Collins from the show Supernatural. But most of us are just hoping to make something so extraordinary that will get included in the coffee table book, which they produce every year, which shows a lot of the really extraordinary artwork. So, right, that's Gish in a nutshell. Hello, Bob. Martino, it's good to see you. I thought Bob was Italian the first time I met him. So tonight is off schedule. It is not going according to plan at all, but everyone's being really kind and patient. I am not being patient with myself, but it's alright. We are having a nice little chat for the moment, and we will reschedule sewing. The sew along, I'll probably just reschedule a time to do a Zoom that everyone can attend, and so then I can share the things with you in that way, I hope. So yes, dear old technology. Right, so yes, that's what I've got. If you have other questions about our ongoing projects, or the sewing, or gish, or fabric, or tea, I'm very happy to answer. We do have 2 wonderful entries or examples of the tea drag challenge. Both Robin and Eve Riot did really fabulous videos of their tea drags, and I loved both of the videos, so really hope to see more of that. Deborah, I love the Corpse Bride. I'd forgotten that that was part of that movie. I haven't seen it in an age. Yes, as usual, according to plan, has gone completely awry. So, there's that. Oh my goodness, that keeps turning on. There. Technology is thwarting me tonight. So yes, we'll do a Zoom. We'll attempt the sewing again when you can actually see what I'm doing. And I will list that information on the Patreon. So I'll make it a public post though, so you don't have to subscribe. But we do have some really good new content up on the Patreon, so if you've been thinking about subscribing, I hope we can tempt you with some of that beautiful content. The Guide Our Fates story, chapter 3, just finished up, and the poll looks pretty decisive. It looks as though everyone thinks that I should drive the airship rather than Captain Pluart. So that's really fun. I'll see where that takes us. Also the latest card in our Major Arcana project went up as a colouring book page. I'm really pleased. I think that card is so gorgeous, and if you combine cards 4 and card 3, put them together, overlapping that edge, that should complete an entire little portrait of both myself and the Grand Arbiter. So I think it's really sweet and charming. Charity, thank you for that. Thank you for the compliment. I wasn't fishing, but I'm really grateful to hear that you're enjoying it, and I'm so delighted that you subscribe. Oh yeah, no, the ether is choked with smoke, causing so much trouble. Technology is my goodness. No, I think the Arbiter is so perfect as the Emperor, and it's one of those things where the artist, Chris Johnson Michiels, who she is my auntie, so I am a little biased. I think she's so gifted. She took our costumes and looked at them, and she made them so much better. They look so much better in her drawing. So I really love that. I look at them, I'm like, oh, those are really nice. Oh, that's a good detail. I rather wish I'd added that detail. She added some really sumptuous little bits. I love. And of course, she also brought to life the tea treasury. That is in chapter 1 of the Guide Our Fates story, and that gave me such joy to see that room sort of come to visual life anyway. I will say this every time, so I'm just going to say it. I'd love to see some of these colouring book pages coloured in. I'd love to see what you think the colours should be and how you envision some of these spaces. If you are on the Patreon and you haven't seen the other pages, we have quite a few colouring book pages, so I can always reshare that set of pages. Oh! No, I will share them again, June. It's entirely my pleasure. I'm happy to share them again, and perhaps I should share everything every time I put up a new card or link back to the original post with all of the cards. Also, thank you. This is I love this enamel pin. It says Maker on it, and it is a sewing machine. It was a gift from dear Bill Bodden, and I'm just completely enchanted with it. So, yes. So, right, the Patreon continues apace, and we have some. I have some new things I'm working on for you. Really in-depth discussion of fabric from Africa, actually, that I've been working on. I need to make it less of a dissertation and more accessible. And I can also do the links to the Guide Our Fates, or just do maybe a post with all of the complete chapters at the bottom to date, so you can sort of have all of that in an easy format. So yeah, no, I'll always share the content, you know, your rewards again. I'm also working on your care packages for the year, which is a bit, it's always, it takes me longer than I think it should. And a new mailing. Yes, well, good. No, it's, I have a lot of thoughts on it. Oh goodness. And there have been some previous articles written by other people, but they're behind a paywall. So now I feel like I have to sort of distill the information into something usable. Because it's really beautiful, beautiful fabric. And the question came up on my personal page if it was appropriation to use African fabric in costumery or garment making. And that's always a really hairy conversation, but it helps to navigate that discussion if you know more about the provenance of the fabric and how it was used and why it was used that way, if it has ceremonial usage, if it has serious connotation or religious connotation, or if it's something that community or that culture produces as a trade goods. And all of that information I think is very helpful, which is why, you know, when you look at fabrics made in Japan, they might also be used for making yukata or making kimono, but if you use them in making other garments, you're not lifting something that is used in a sort of setting where that would be offensive to the community. But you could lift some fabrics and some, you know, beautiful goods that have been used in a ceremonial setting, and so that's not necessarily the best choice, is it? And I think it's because of my background of being really intrigued by anthropology and being really involved in cultural linguistics studies that I'm always very sensitive to these topics, and I'm very passionate about sharing what little bit I've learned, the information I've garnered that I use to navigate things myself. Which is not to say I don't make mistakes, but I do my best. And I think that's really all we can do, is do our best, and when we know more and learn better, we can always do better then. So yes, look for something about that. I've been working on that for about 2-3 weeks actually, so I should wrap it up. I have some other thoughts on some other topics to share with all of you on the Patreon. If you follow the delightful Eve Riot, and of course you know I'm biased, I think Eve is so wonderful and she's a dear friend. The Grand Arbiter and I adore adore collaborating with her. So we are known fans and we are known to have a bias. But I must say that her work on Patreon is so thoughtful and insightful. It's not only the beautiful photos, which are gorgeous, her costumes, her photography, all wonderful, wonderful pieces, but she adds in this element that really elevates the whole thing with her thoughtful introspection on topics around art and performing. And every now and again she inspires me to take my own moments of introspection. So I hope you benefit from that, or at least enjoy it. You know, Charity, I think that's a wonderful way to go about it. I think, obviously, we can occasionally learn that what we thought was respectful is taken sort of not well. But usually, my experience is if you tread with respect and you tread with a willingness to learn more and understand more and not to merely trivialize the culture, then you're doing pretty well. So, you know, for instance, I'm not going to lift any Maori tattoos, which are very significant, for merely frivolous ornamentation on an ensemble. So, but I am definitely going to be using some Ankara cloth, or it's called Dutch wax process cloth, which is used so heavily in West Africa, and use some of that in some costuming. I love the prints. They're very vibrant and full of a sort of motion in the design, and they're not bound by the same kind of symmetry that a lot of prints tend to be. So it's really fun. Oh yeah, no, Charity is correct. The photos are awesome too. I love Eve's photography. She's a marvellous model, but she also takes gorgeous photographs and has a really wonderful eye for photography. So she also talks a lot about how to get a good photograph yourself, which I think is really helpful for those of us who are photographing our own work, to sort of think about some of those lessons that she shares. Oh, too tall! You're too tall, you poor thing. Oh my goodness, I would not have that problem. I'm fairly short. I don't even know what that is, a lenga, but I love that they stopped you because you're too tall, and it'd be scandalous. It's a bit like having your kilt too short, if I may make the analogy. That you definitely, there's a good length for kilts, and you could have it too long, which looks a bit like maybe you're wearing your father's kilts rather than your own kilts. Hello Cindy, hello Mark. Tonight's live stream is not going according to plan, so we're just having a little conversation and we're wrapping it up. Cindy, I know that you're here in part for the sew along, and we're not doing that tonight as I had really had a lot of technical difficulties, so not to apologise, no need to apologise, because we're not sewing. You have only missed a bit of conversation. I'm very happy you're here now, Cindy, and the muffins sound delightful. Oh, alright, so Charity says the lenga are the fancy skirts worn for formals and weddings. That's excellent. Thank you very much. I did not know that, and I'm happy to know more. And also, woohoo forevermore to kilted men, and men and all people in kilts are really delightful. No, maybe we all had a day. Maybe this Tuesday is a bit cursed. It's all right. No, I know enough about kilts to be an educated beginner. I'd say that. But I also know enough to really appreciate a good kilt on really anyone. It's all about the calves at that point, isn't it? So, the short of it is that I will be sharing information to do a Zoom for the sew along and to proceed that way until I can be certain that things will stream properly to Facebook, as they did not wish to do that tonight for whatever reason. I don't know what that reason is. So, yeah, no, and sometimes the threads of time unravel a bit. That is correct. It was a bit that way this evening. So, yes. For those of you who were with me for the full bust adjustment that we did, 3-4 weeks ago now, maybe it's 5 weeks ago, I've lost a bit of track of time, speaking of time unravelling. Today I shared a link to an article in Threads magazine, which is a great resource for those of you who sew, and it was for the small bust adjustment, and I'm really happy that they shared that, because when several of you asked me previously, I had to admit I knew of no way to move downwards. I know that most commercial patterns are cut for a B cup, so I'm really happy that they shared the small bust adjustment, and I think that would be a really good adjustment if you have a figure, if you are a gentleman or you have a really small cup size, you can kind of move back that direction. So I haven't messed with it yet, but I'll probably mess with it a bit to see how it goes. Ether webs are overloaded, Cindy, and maybe it's just that much that the ether webs are overloaded and did not want to cooperate. Honestly, there were no error messages, so it is hard to know what was going wrong. Oh, June had a really good day. Donation to the food bank of her Prius, wonderful. Fighting the good fight with the banking establishment, excellent. And Paco's, which is a wonderful restaurant here in Tucson, for green chili burrito. So if you are ever in Tucson, you should know that we take our food very seriously here. It is something I had to learn upon moving here. The food culture in Tucson is extraordinary, and so if one is going to be stranded in the Sonoran deserts, if your airship is going to crash someplace, this is a very good place to have your airship crash. The food is just phenomenal. It is a UNESCO foods heritage city, and so, you know, the food here is good enough that the United Nations has put their cultural seal of approval on it. The tacos and the burritos and all of the chilies and everything are really, they're extraordinary, beautiful. But Paco's is a fantastic little New Mexico influenced restaurant, and it's quite the gem, so highly recommend it. It is culture shock when it comes to food here. Anne is right, but in a good way. The food is very good, but often people who visit are sort of surprised by the sheer number of local independent restaurants. Come here, come here. I could use a little bit of cake time. Come here, you sweet thing. Oh, do be sweet. You've had your treats. Now it's time for loves. Come here, cake. Come here. Oh, he's a little bit sleepy. He's been napping. Come here. Oh, yes. Hello, my darling. Hello. Oh, all right. Oh, do you want to be in my lap instead? Let's see. He does, but he's not certain that my lap is at the right angle to please him. All right. Is you're a good boy. He is here. He does want his loves. He is ready for attention. He's giving me a few head boops. So, hello, lovey. That's a good boy. Do you want up on your sewing machine? Oh, he just wants attention. Who's a good boy? We've got some tail here for all of you to see. We'll see if we get a bit more. All right. You're going to curl up. What's your plan? Oh, all right. Here we go. That's the plan. The plan is that he's going to lie on both of my hands and purr and be very happy with himself. So that's happening. Yeah, you're a good boy. Don't give me that look. Of course, on his terms, as always. So, but at least you got a bit of a visit from Cake, ever so briefly. Duchess Fiona is napping in her little spot, so everybody's here. And apparently they're very happy I'm not sewing and just paying attention to them instead. Hello, lovey. Yes, you're a good boy. So sweet. Every now and again he just gets in this really delightful mood. So, and hello, Rambo Rose. Oh, it's good to see you virtually. Another marvellous performer and artist, local artist, and scholar. So, oh, you're falling. You're going to fall, Cake. You're going to fall. You mustn't wiggle so much. Oh my goodness. Oh, come here. Come here. There we go. There we go. All right. Here, be on your sewing machine. There you go. There. All right. Yes, we was about to have a little bit of an avalanche of Kitty. Yeah, no, all the love, if forcible, if needed. That is where he's at. I hope you can see him, as my monitor has gone black. You're a good boy. Yes, you are. So sweet. So yes, those are the updates, and that's the information such as I have it. And if you have any other questions, this is a good time to ask. I have been asked by the fairy godmother to share the origin story of how Duchess Fiona and dear Cake came to live here at the Bird Sanctuary and Ghost Cat Hermitage with me. And I might share some of that story on Friday at our Friday tea. The Grand Arbiter will definitely be hosting tea on Saturday morning at the normal time, all things being equal. And then Sunday, expect some sorts of cats and crafting or something of that nature that I will post on the Patreon. It may be catch up on the sew along, depending. So we'll see. I will try and schedule a sew along session before then, however, so we can do some catch up and get those facings in and the belts and all of those bits, as I feel like it starts to go together faster and faster as you get past the bodice portion of the project. The putting in the facings are a tiny bit fussy. Putting in the facings on the sleeves are really, I think they're very clever insertion, which I'm excited to share with you. We have that bit of technical challenge, and we have pockets to put in, but really we've accomplished all of the hardest bits at this point, doing the bodice, getting all of those, you know, adjustments to your bodice. It is a very quick process going forward from this point. So and I'd like to get that rolling along for you so that we can start talking dirndls. Also, I think we're going to do a small project in between the caftan and the dirndl, just as a sort of palette cleanser, something we might be able to do in a single day, or, you know, just get you through most of the main steps in a single session. So perhaps it'll be a housewife or something of that nature. Just useful, fun little project. So I see that Selena has done the stay stitching. I am proud of you. That's wonderful. That's so good. That's so good. Oh, that makes me really happy. It makes a difference. It does. It will make the longevity of your caftan a bit more, have less gapping there. So I am proud of you. That's fantastic news. Oh, I guess I was very emphatic that stay stitching is a good idea. So I'm excited to help you put in pockets. I'm excited to talk through the sleeve arm opening facings with you. That's really sort of fun way she does that, and I'm just looking forward to finishing a project with all of you. As we finish the chemise, I'm also really happy that we're going to be finishing the caftan, and I hope you will indulge me, because it is something I truly love. No sycophancy, deep sincerity. I love seeing your projects. So even if you just want to share a picture of your stay stitching, I want to see it. But I'd really love to see the finished projects too, no matter how long it takes you. And by the way, there are no deadlines here. This is the summer without deadlines. I don't think we're going to have any big deadlines until maybe next year. So, you know, don't think that you are bound by the schedule I'm keeping. If you have decided to skip ahead and do more, that's also good. You don't have to stick to my schedule, either keeping up with it or slowing yourself down. You should find your own pace for what you want to do. But yes, pockets. Oh, Charity, pockets. Always pockets. Pockets forever. really thinking about the pockets I'm going to install in my next bustle dress. And this is the one I think. I've been promising myself for a while I was going to do a bustle dress that had many hidden pockets in it. And I think this is the one I'm going to do. I want to put in the front center facing pocket. I want to put in the pocket hidden in the neck edge. All those pockets. Maybe the pocket hidden in the waistband. Just so many clever little pockets. But also Mary B is correct. Time has no meaning anymore, and we may please ourselves. So but yeah, no, I'm eager to start those things again. At the same time, I feel that having not worn a corset in months and months, my figure has shifted a bit, and I'm somewhat nervous about that. I need to start corseting again. I also don't want to because it's so bloody hot. Maybe in September when it's cooled off 5 or 10 degrees permanently. So it's hard to feel like putting on so many extra layers when it's 109 or 42 degrees Celsius outside. So yes, it's a little bit of a confession. I hate wearing a corset when it's that hot. So yes. Oh, the shipping details. No. Speaking of, I will let you know when I start sending out mailings, so you'll know to watch for things. I don't think things are going to move at the same rate they have previously. Things are getting through, but there have been some delays, so be prepared for that. Mary B, I think we might all feel very seen by that comment, that the only meaningful time right now is the shipping details. I certainly feel that. So, well, that said, I haven't anything of great depth to share tonight, and our plans did go awry, but I had a really good time spending part of the evening with all of you. Thank you for joining me for this sort of impromptu tea. Ooh, no! Oh, Charity, that is a mood. It's never too humid here to dry anything, though, I have to tell you. Everything dries so fast. So good luck. No, I do need to start wearing a corset and get back in the habits of wearing that again. It's a bit like breaking in your boots that you loved but you haven't worn them in 2 years. They need to be warmed up to your feet again. My corset probably has some opinions about the neglect of the last few months. Thank you, Selena. Thank you, everyone, for for spending the evening with me and for your patience. I was really in a state at the beginning of tea, and I did not feel very good because things had gone so terribly awry. Cindy, have a delightful evening with Hercule. I will say, as we are wrapping things up, that I cannot wait to see Death on the Nile. It looks so good, and the cast looks superlative. Also, the costuming, oh, delightful. So yes, I'm excited about that. In the meantime, my darlings, have a wonderful remainder of your Tuesday. Do take care of yourselves. Thank you for reminding me to take care of myself tonight. I clearly needed the reminder. Stay home if you can. Wear your mask if you must go out. Wash your hands. Treasure yourselves. Know that I treasure you, and that having you here with me tonight and every day is such an incomprehensible importance to my life. So please, please remember your great good value. I will see you certainly Friday, possibly sooner. We'll see how the technology decides to cooperate or not. And do post your questions and your pictures to the So Askew group. I do wish to see how you're going along. I will share links on the Patreon for the previous chapters of the Guide Our Fates story, as well as the previous colouring book pages again, so that you may find all of those in one place, and download everything at your leisure. Alright, good night my darlings. Thank you.